Hello, welcome to the Amplify Audio File Show YouTube channel. And in today's review, we will cover the Hifiman HE-R10P. It's a new Hifiman planar magnetic headphone. It's a closed back and it's very interesting because it's priced at $5,500 up there with the $6,000 Hifiman Susvara. In today's review, we're going to cover, first of all, aesthetics, build, and comfort. We're going to cover the technical performance of this headphone, the tonality or the tuning of this headphone, and last but not least, we will discuss, comparisons and who this headphone is for. First and foremost, in terms of aesthetics, build, and comfort, I find this headphone rather interesting looking. I think it's fairly pretty, if I may say. These fine wood grains, I think, are really eye-catching. So this has protruding cups, as you can see. Very protruding cups and slightly unconventional shaped. This is what it looks like on my bald head. It might look different if you have hair, of course, but I like the way the headphone looks, as strange as it looks, because I find it iconic, and of course it's a throwback and homage to a very famous Sony headphone, as you might know. The build quality is decent. It's nothing to write home about, but it's not built cheaply, if you know what I mean. It doesn't have the same premium feel of, let's say, a Focal headphone, like a Focal Stellia, for instance, or a Focal Utopia, and this is, of course, more expensive than the Utopia. It doesn't even have the premium feel of, let's say, a ZMF Verite closed, which it competes with, and I think surpasses in terms of technical skills, but more on that later. But it's decent. It's decent. There's nothing to complain about. This leather pad is fairly comfortable, and as are these large cups. They're very cushiony. The isolation is again decent. It's nothing spectacular. So there is some sound leakage, but it's not too bad. But where I think this headphone really stands out is its technical performance. It is a very technically proficient headphone. So first of all, in terms of detail retrieval, it's not as resolving, or it doesn't present as much micro details as the Hifiman Susvara does. But I would say this is far more resolving than, let's say, the Focal Stellia, and I think this is comparable to the Focal Utopia in terms of detail retrieval. In terms of speed and dynamics, this is a very dynamic and punchy headphone. So if you like that sort of stuff, if you listen to EDM, rock, hip-hop, electronica, this is a very good headphone for you. Its slam and punch is visceral, it's textured, and it's very reminiscent of Focal headphones, actually, when it comes to the punch quality. And a lot of planars, I feel like they slam, but they don't punch. But this is visceral, and I think any sort of person who hasn't heard a planar magnetic headphone punch and slam, this is going to surprise you, because it does. In terms of soundstage and imaging, I feel like a lot of upper high-end Hifiman headphones have spectacular imaging, and this is no different. The imaging on this headphone is very, very good, and it stages very well. So it's the angular protruded cups, I think aid imaging and soundstage excellently, so much so that a lot of times when this is on my head, I feel that I forget that this is a closed back headphone. It stages better than many open back headphones, in my opinion. Lastly, in terms of timbre, this timbre is fine. It's not plasticky or metallic. It's got decent timbre. It's nothing to write home about, so it's not going to rival, let's say, the Hifiman Susvara for timbre, but it's a decent headphone in terms of timbre nonetheless. And last but not the least, in terms of tuning and the overall tonality, this is a warm headphone, even a dark, I might say. It's very bassy. There's a lot of sub-bass rumble, there's a growl, and there's a mid-bass hump. Slightly reminiscent in that region of the Sennheiser HD650. Only in that region, because you feel this overall sort of blankety warmth that envelopes you. And but then around 500 to 1K, there's a bit of a elevation, which basically means that it's a very forward presentation, so vocals are rich and enticing, and female vocals particularly work really well with this headphone. But then in the lower treble, it's kind of polite, and there is a certain amount of air frequencies, energy in the air frequencies, so that's sort of 10K above. However, it's not as airy sounding as, let's say, the Hifiman Susvara is. So what that means is, let's say when Chris Cornell sings in let's say, in a lot of his songs in the Songbook album, you sort of feel his voice being very breathy, and you're not going to get as much of that with this, but you're definitely going to get that with the Susvaras, for instance. And what that also means, though, however, so the shimmer quality of cymbal hits is there, but it's not very pronounced, which is fine, which might work well for you if you like a darkish, warmish tone. So that's it for tonality. Lastly, who this headphone is really for. It's for anyone who wants to get really high-end flagship performance, like let's say the level at which Asus Vara performs, or an Abyss 1266 Phi TC performs. And if that person wants it to be portable, I mean, this is the closest you can get. So you definitely get very technical performance and a lot of portability, which is also very helped by this interesting implementation of Hifiman's Bluetooth functionality. And this works with Hifiman's Blue Mini, which is Hifiman's custom Bluetooth adapter, which has a built-in amp and DAC. So that's around $50, and that's sold separately. But you definitely want to buy that if you're going to go for this, because this performs amazingly of the Bluetooth module as well. And I would be hard pressed to I would go as far as to say that on most tracks, the difference between the performance of this headphone off Bluetooth and when cabled is not significant. But anyway, so this headphone is for anyone who likes a warm, a dark, bassy, and punchy headphone. B is okay with the aesthetics. And C doesn't mind or prefers having portability, so the ability to run a headphone off a DAB or even off a phone. So that's it for this review. Overall, this is a highly recommended buy if you can afford its very steep price tag. But I do congratulate Hifiman on coming up with another very, very interesting flagship headphone. If you like this review, stay tuned, give us a like, and of course, subscribe. And with that, I'll see you soon. And stay safe during COVID. Bye.